Welcome back, Dolphins fans. Today we're going to talk about Darren Waller because he's on the injury report right now, and I wanted to give you, again, like I did with Ollie Gordon, some realistic expectations for Darren Waller because I think that's a big topic that a lot of us, we kind of really don't know fully. So I'm going to tell you what I hear, and really the thing that I think we can all take from this and what we should expect from the guy, because if I could be honest, I think maybe we're expecting too much from him. And the reason behind that is because I think a lot of people are looking at the 1,000-yard season where he was, pretty much the guy. He was the dude on the Oakland Raiders. And the one thing that I can say with this is he had 1,000 yards. He was with Frank Smith. He looked very good. But with the Dolphins right now, I truly do think that we're going to be a run-heavy team. So what I think people are trying to think of is that he's going to be similar to like Johnny Smith or something like that. And, while he could be, I think what we're doing in this offense is going to be different than last year. We're going to be running the ball a lot more, and in order to do that, you need blocking tight ends. And Darren Waller is not the greatest blocking tight end. So, again, what happened, I think, either today or yesterday is they did red zone drills. So they kind of had him do the red zone drills and then, stay off injured. The reason behind that is because I think that's what we need to understand about Darren Waller and what we're supposed to expect this season. Because I think, again, we're expecting too much of you. A lot of people are coming into this thinking that a 32-year-old tight end is going to have 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. He's going to be running all over the field. That's not what they brought him in there for. It's not it. What we're going to be doing this year is running the ball a lot heavier than normal. I think Mike McDaniel got the memo that you can't just be passing the ball left and right all the time. You have to run the ball. That's what his specialty is, believe it or not. When he was in San Francisco and when he was following around, the coach that, is, I'm forgetting the name of the coach in San Francisco, but when he was around him, he was the run game coordinator. He was the guy that developed the run game to be where it was, where you had these significant running backs that would constantly come in and do very well in the San Francisco offense. And the reason behind that was that was his offense. That's what Mike McDaniel did. And I think he's getting back to those roots. And like I said, if you haven't checked out the last video of Ollie Gordon, he has Ollie Gordon, so it's a different thing now. He has a running back stable that he can use and develop, and I think we're going to be running the ball more, which means probably going to see a lot of Julian Hill. It's unfortunate, but they believe in him. They think he's going to be the thing, and I think with Darren Waller, he's going to be more of a, how do I say it, like a specialist. He's going to be more of a guy that does certain things, but he doesn't need to be on the field all the time. Yes, he's starting, but I think what they need him to do is just get in the way of defenders so that you can break out run lanes. And what they're going to use him a lot for, which I think is going to be the biggest significance that we have here, is he's going to be a red zone target. That's what I believe Darren Waller is going to do. I think a lot of people are coming into this and they're getting disappointed with the injury report and all of that, which is weird. He was dealing with an injury and, they didn't need to disclose it, but it would have been nice to hear, that he had a hip injury and, But also at the end of the day, when we have injuries, sometimes it's just they have to report what they are. So it could be anything. It could also be just a veteran's rest day. It's just they have to put on the report that his hip or something is hurting because he says so. So the reality is that what we're going to expect from Darren Waller, I think, is going to be probably around more like 600 yards and possibly 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think he'll have more touchdowns, in the number range than he will have significant yardage because I think we're using him differently. I think we're going to go into the season using him to be the guy that in the red zone, this is where he will excel. He's 6'6", 250, 260 pounds. He's a big guy, and he can jump. Like he's a jumper. He's different than Jonnu Smith because Jonnu wasn't that. Jonnu was kind of like a running back in a tight end skin. This is like a wide receiver in a tight end skin. So he's 6'6", he's huge. So he's going to be a mismatch in the red zone. And that's what I think we're going to go for in this season. We're going to go for much more of him being that red zone target, being the guy that, doesn't need to run posts and corners and post corners and, whatever else you have. He's going to be the guy that you could pretty much just put him in the red zone, and he's going to be able to jump over somebody. He'll be the safety blanket of Tua. That's what I think was something that we needed to incorporate, and that's why I think we decided to do that, because there was plenty of tight ends in the offseason, but this was the one guy that could be a safety blanket for Tua and allow him to just throw the ball up and someone can come down with it, because I think that's something that they haven't added to Tua's game that is very important, because you have all these 5'10" receivers. You don't have that guy that you can just throw the ball up to. It has to be perfect every time, and I think a lot of people don't take that into account, that takes a toll on somebody, when every throw has to be perfect every single time, which of course you want to do that, but, with players like Joe Burrow and stuff like that, which they're fantastic, but also when you have a guy that you can just throw the ball up to, it makes it very easy to just, get yardage and do all these things, because you can just chuck it up, in a prayer, and he'll come down with it, whereas Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they're great, but they're not those types of players. So we're getting into the Miami Herald, and they talk about it a little bit, but I also think, we need to look into this some more, because, again, it's kind of alarming that he's injured for a little bit. So as the season opener approaches, doubt about Darren Waller's availability for Sunday's game against Indianapolis Colts is beginning to grow. Waller, the Miami Dolphins' top offensive addition this offseason, missed the media viewing portion of Thursday's practice, which Coach Mike McDaniel insinuated that the veteran was being rested Wednesday to ensure his participation. Thursday's practice was a red zone and third down heavy workday, and the Dolphins are hopeful that Waller, who came out of retirement to replace Jonnu Smith as Miami's starting tight end, would be impactful on those critical downs. But Waller has been nursing a hip injury since joining the team and didn't participate in a single training camp practice. 32-year-old who was abruptly retired before last season, he supposed lost his love for the game and needed to work through some mental issues. Practice on a limited basis earlier this week, but even quarterback Tua Tagovailoa has acknowledged that he doesn't have many reps with the 8-year veteran, which might impact how often he's targeted. If Waller isn't cleared to play by the Colts on Friday, the Dolphins will be forced to go into Sunday's game with Julian Hill and Tanner Connors, the only tight ends in the game's roster, unless Hayden Rucci or Greg Dulcich, the two tight ends who are on the practice squad, get signed to a 53-man roster or get a practice squad elevation. The problem with elevating them is that Miami will need to use one of the two evaluations allowed on kicker Riley Patterson, who will be called up for the next 3 weeks to replace Jason Sanders, who's sidelined by a hip injury that got him placed on injured reserve. The Dolphins might also be forced to elevate practice squad tailback Jeff Wilson or Jim McCall Hasty, because Devon Achane and rookie Ollie Gordon are the only healthy tailbacks on the roster. So one thing we do need to talk about is that hip issue, because they were saying he was fine, and I kind of believed it for a second, but with the amount of reps that he's getting with Tua, it's going to be tough to see him really, doing anything. And that's why I say, temper expectations. He might not be on every single play this coming opener. I hope he's ready for it. I mean, I don't know. He hasn't practiced, so he probably might not. But again, I think they're going to start him out slow, and he's just going to be a red zone target for most of the parts. It'll be a red zone package that has Darren Waller in it. And again, I don't expect him to be the wide receiver 2 on this team. I think he's going to be the guy that just gives Tua that leeway of being 6'6" and allows him to just throw the ball up. But we'll see, Again, they might be nursing him back into being healthy, so we don't know what's going on. I think a lot of people are going to make a lot of speculations. We tend to do that right before the season starts, so we'll see what happens. But again, I want to temper everybody's expectations for Darren Waller. I don't think that he's going to be the guy that everybody kind of thinks he's going to be. I think he's just going to be a package guy that maybe can make some plays, but for the most part, he's going to be a red zone guy. He's going to be a guy that helps out in certain situations, but it isn't like the mainstay of this offense. I think we're going to be running the ball a lot. That's what I think it is. It's going to be a lot of running the ball and play action, West Coast style of offense, and we'll see what he does. Maybe he over exceeds what I'm saying, But like I said, I think I want to temper everybody's expectations for Darren Waller because I think he's going to be much more of a specialist than he is a premier target. So comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know if you think that he's going to be incredible or if you think he's going to suck this year. I'd love to hear it. As always, guys, fins up, babies. Love you all. Praise God, love God. He's great all the time. Peace.